Hello my little butterflies, and this video is going to be my September wrap up. Okay you guys, in the month of September I read a lot of books and I was just so proud of myself. I don't know, maybe it's because I wasn't reading before. I didn't really read for the summer. Maybe that's what it was, and it made me just so hungry to read. But in September I read 6 books total, and 3 of them was in the same series. But I read 6 books total in September. And the first book that I read in September was My Heart and Other Black Holes by Jasmine Warga. I don't know if that's how you pronounce her name. I always mess up her name whenever I talk about this book, but you know who you are. And I think I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. I think I did. I want to say I wrote a review for this book on Goodreads. I'm pretty sure I did. So you guys can go look at my Goodreads account for this review. But I really like this book. And if you guys don't know what this book is about this girl named Azelle, and she meets this boy named Roman over a suicide chatting room site. And she's looking for a suicide partner with to, you know, off herself because she doesn't want to do it alone. She's depressed because of something her father did a long time ago, and she feels like everyone singles her out for it. And Roman is depressed because he feels that it was his fault of a family tragedy that happened, so he doesn't feel like he should have the right to still be alive, so he wants to kill himself. And the two meet, and as the story goes on, they start to wonder if they should really die or if they should just, you know, be there for each other and see how much better life can get without killing themselves. So you guys should go check out this book. It does have a suicide warning on it, so if you guys don't, you know, not really into reading stuff like that, I don't recommend this book. But if you don't mind it, go ahead and read it because it's really good and it's not as emotional as you would think. At least it wasn't for me. I wasn't as emotional reading this book as I thought I was going to be. So you guys should go and check out this book. The rest of the books that I read in September were actually Kindle, so I would just like insert a picture in the next slide or whatever, because I don't think that you're going to be able to see them on my Kindle. I think the glare is going to kind of mess it up from the window. But the second book that I read in September was Zenith by our fellow booktuber Sasha. And she had in another part of her that she wrote the book with, but I can't remember her name off the top of my head. But I gave that book a 3 out of 5 stars because I don't know, maybe I had this book on my Kindle when she first released it, and you had to pre-order it, so I don't know if it wasn't finished all the way or if it was just, you know, like a first draft or like an outline of it. But I just felt so lost in the story. So, and it's kind of like a mix between Guardians of the Galaxy and Star Trek to me. And I say Guardians of the Galaxy because how she describes the characters, you know, they don't look too human. They're like blue colors and green and all these different kind of things going on. And I say Star Trek because they are in space. It's like a little space voyage and stuff. They're on a spaceship traveling through space, and they're pretty much pirates, space pirates. So that's pretty much why I say it's a mix between those two. So I mean, if that was like a first draft, then, you know, I don't mind reading a finished story. But that one, I don't think it was really too finished, so I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. The third book that I read in the month of September is Thugs and the Women Who Loved Them by Wanda Clark. And I gave that book a 4.5 out of 5 stars. And I really enjoyed that book. I read that book. That's the first book of the series. I think it's a 5-book series or maybe a 6-book series. But I read the first. I read the first one already. That one was a reread, and I had read the third. I know for sure I read the third book, which is Thug Matrimony, which I've read that before. So I really want to continue with the series. I need to get the second book, and I really want to reread the third book because I remember I enjoyed the third book. I read it a while ago, so I want to just reread the whole series. I only read book 1 and 3, so I don't know about, you know, the rest of the series, how everything goes. But it's a really good book. It's an African-American romance novel. I think it might be classified, you know, subcategorized under erotica because there are, you know, a lot of like rated X scenes in it. But I really enjoyed that book. So if you guys, you know, don't mind stuff like that, I recommend it to you. Otherwise, you know, it's not, you know, your contemporary. It's like adult kind of stuff going on in the book. So, you know, if you're under a certain age, I don't really recommend it to you. I did read it when I was young. I think I might have read it when I was maybe 15. I think I read it. A friend of mine, she was reading them and she let me read them with her. So So I mean, if you're mature and you can handle, you know, reading stuff like that, then go ahead, but otherwise I don't recommend it to you at all. But it is a very good book. And the 4th, 5th, and 6th books that I read in the month of September were all a part of the same series. It was part of the Henry Ben series. And the Henry Ben series is basically about this guy, Henry Ben. He has Henry Ben's disease, which means he's only up for an hour out of the day. He's up at 3 o'clock in the morning to 4 o'clock in the morning. At 4 o'clock, wherever he is, he just drops and sleeps for the next 23 hours. He's had all kind of testing done. Nothing, they can't find anything to cure him, so that's just how he has to live his life, and he's been living it like that his whole life that he can remember. He's only up for an hour out of the day. And the first book is called 3 a.m. Is when we're first introduced to Henry, and I did give the first book a 4 out of 5 stars because I forgot to tell you guys my rating. But he's coming back from a run in the first book, and he hears this woman across the street scream, and when he looks out of his window, he sees the president of the United States coming out of her house, and then it's 4 o'clock and he just drops. So that's pretty much what the first book about. It's about finding her killer, what the hell the president had to do with it, and basically just who was this woman, because he's only up for an hour a day, so he doesn't really know his neighbors. The second book is called 310. I gave that book a 3 out of 5 stars because I don't know, I guess to me the second book felt more childish when I was reading it. It felt more like a children's book, and I didn't really want, you know, to read that in this series, especially how the first book started off. So I thought, you know, the second book wasn't going to be, you know, kind of children-y, and that's what it felt like. So that's why I gave that book a 3-star rating. And that book is basically about Henry finding out about his mom. He basically thinks that he found out his mother is dead because his mother did walk out on him when he was small, so it was just him and his dad. He thinks his mother couldn't deal with his illness anymore and just left. And this book is basically about her and him trying to find her murderer. That's what that book is about. I can't get too much into it because it is the second book in the series and don't want to do any spoilers. The third book in that series, which is the last book that I read in September, is called 3:21 a.m. and I gave that book a 2 out of 5 stars. Now I gave that book a 2 out of 5 stars not because the book itself was bad, but because I just started to zone out by this book. I felt like, you know, I don't really want to read this series anymore. So it got to the point where I started skim reading through that book. It wasn't anything to do with the book, and it wasn't anything to do with the plot itself. I just wasn't interested in the series anymore, and that's why I stopped there. I didn't even go back to reading the 4th book or anything. I just said, okay, I don't want to read this anymore. I kind of had my dose of this series right now. I fell out of tune with it, and I started to drown in and out of the book, and I didn't want to fall to the point where I'm trying to force myself to read this and I don't want to read anything at all. So I had to drop that and leave it alone, and I probably won't go back to it because I did skim read, so I know how the story ends, which I hate when I do that to myself. So probably won't be going back and reading that book. I don't know if I'm going to go back and finish the series, so I don't know if I'm going to DNF that series or not. I don't know. I guess it depends on what my reading feelings are in the future. But those are all the books that I read last month in September, and I think I had a really good reading month. And I don't know if it's because maybe it's because I didn't really have a TBR. I was just picking up as I went what I felt like reading, and like, oh, I feel like reading that book, so I'm going to just start reading that book. I don't know, maybe that's what it was, but I did really good in the month of September. I don't know if I'm going to do that good in October. I don't know. But I mean, I have a lot more time on my hands to read now since I did finish school. I finished my internship, so I do have a lot more time to read now that I'm not doing school and working at the moment. So I don't know, and I'm not really sure if I'm going to do TBR or not because I did think I read more without having a TBR. But those are all the books that I read in the month of September. You guys should comment below and let me know what books you guys read in the month of September and what you thought about the books that I read in the month of September. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.